Hello to all of our listeners, and welcome back to The Parent Solution, your one-stop shop for all things educational. I'm your host, Kimberly, and today I'm talking about some helpful tips to get started with your homeschooling journey, and that's for whatever stage that you're in. So if you've decided to take the jump, into the world of unpredictability of homeschooling, where every other seemingly normal parent looks at you like you're crazy when you tell them that you are the one teaching your kids, this episode is for you. Maybe you've made that choice, or maybe you're still mulling the idea over in your mind. Maybe you want to start homeschooling, but you're scared or you're unsure of your own capabilities, or you don't know what level of interest, if any, your children have in school itself and in learning, or if you have no idea where to start because, after all, you're not a teacher. If any of the above is true for you, then this is, like I said, the episode for you. Today, I'm sharing 8 tips that I have created over the course of my experience with alternative education. So tip number 1, I will say this is probably one of the most important ones. It is all about your mindset. Right off the bat, I want you to know and accept the fact that you can do it. And of course, me saying that is not enough. It's not enough to keep you going through the hard days. The only way that you're going to be able to keep teaching through the difficult times is when you know your why. So asking yourself questions like, why is it that you want to spend time teaching your children? And why is it that you're willing to put aside other goals, perhaps goals that you as a family have or you as an individual have? Why is it you're willing to put aside those goals and set your children's education as such a high priority? Why is it that you're concerned about who teaches the children in your care, how they learn, and what they are learning? When you need to wake up early, when you need to stay up late, when you need to work through your child's tantrums, or you need to miss your favorite TV show in order to study curriculum, your why is going to power you through. Trust me, this tip is the hardest part of the whole process. Tip number 2 would be the practical necessities, looking after those practical necessities. You don't need to feel intimidated if you don't have some type of paper that recognizes you as a licensed educator, because your children or the children in your care are learning something from you every day. When you're homeschooling, you're planning what they're going to learn ahead of time and focusing their learning around learning opportunities. In order to plan properly, you have to acquire practical resources such as age-appropriate curriculum and books and programs that you feel are going to spark your child's interest or your children's interest. It's important to observe the children in your care and to take note of their strengths and their challenges, and then you can plan to facilitate learning opportunities that are going to help them develop those strengths and weaknesses. Because keep in mind, it's not all about book learning. You should plan lots of independent activities and learning time for your children. Homeschooling is not school at home. You do not need to create or recreate a school environment. My third tip, and you could say this is true for life as well, my third tip would be to set flexible and realistic expectations, because nothing is going to burn you out faster than setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. Like I said, that's true of life as well, so why wouldn't it be true for school or for learning? You have to realize that every day is going to look a little bit different, because there's some days when your children are going to be completely cooperative, and there's going to be other days where everything goes haywire and nothing goes as planned. So right now, wherever you are in your journey, make that commitment to be flexible, because staying flexible is not only going to help you as an adult to increase your patience, but will also teach you how to make the most of each daily opportunity that comes up. And when the children in your care can see that you handle a stressful day or stressful situation with positivity and a calm attitude, it's going to help them make the same quality choice in their life and with their learning. And the truth is that hardly anything works out exactly the way that we plan it. Now, it's not just about setting unrealistic expectations on the opposing side of the spectrum, it's also about setting realistic expectations, both for your teaching abilities and for the children that are in your care. Don't try to rush the process, because learning takes time and it takes repetition. And sometimes the same lesson has to be repeated in different environments or through a variety of methods. So be gracious to your child and be gracious to yourself. Tip number 4 would be to choose your method. So there's essentially 3 approaches to homeschooling. You can either A, choose an inquiry-driven and a student-led method, or B, you can choose a regulated curriculum-driven teaching model, or C, you can mix the two of those options into what works for your family. Now, it is most important that you choose the method that works best for you and for the children in your care. There is no right answer here. Some children do better with a more free-flowing student-led curriculum, while others do need the order and solid routine that comes with a regulated curriculum and schedule. So if you're undecided, a good piece of advice would be to try one for a couple months, and if it's not working, change it up a little bit and try another approach. Or perhaps use a certain method for the subjects where it would be most needed or most expected, like in math or in science. The important thing to remember here is that you don't need to be afraid of trial and error because the process is going to help you grow as well as the children in your care. Tip number 5 would be to check that attitude. Reflection is your best friend as you delve into the world of homeschooling, and checking in with the children that you're teaching and with yourself and to find out what they like and dislike about homeschooling is a really, really key part. Children tend to be much more attentive to the teacher or to you, if you're doing the teaching, when they feel like they're being heard and when they feel like they are engaged and interested in the material that's being taught. And so additionally, you have to make sure that you do regular self-reflections to make sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed. If you do find yourself feeling like you're drowning, whether that's drowning a little bit or drowning a lot, this next tip is definitely going to make you happy. Tip number 6 would be community support. There's nothing that I find quite as comforting as finding your tribe, because people who are with you, people who know what it's like to do what you're doing, and people who are there to support you in your journey. So reach out to your local community, try to find some homeschooling groups. We have the internet. There are many ways to connect with people these days. Find professional educators who've been along that homeschooling path who can help to show you the way if you're feeling a little bit confused. Along with all of the positive support that is available through all of these networks, you're going to be able to use resources and get advice from people who are in the same boat as you or who have gone along that path before. And everyone in this boat is trying to do the best they can for their children. My 7th tip would be to build and utilize local resources, kind of a jumping off point from talking about community support. Checking in with your local resources, such as the library or the town hall or the police department or historical sites, even grocery stores, farmers markets, banks, museum, conservation parks. There are so many opportunities for learning. Not only are all of these locations great locations for field trips in however you choose to frame them, in whatever framework you choose to use, but if you make friends with the staff that are at these places, these can also be places where your children potentially secure their first jobs or have career opportunities or business opportunities that have opened up to them. You're also building a network for your children down the road. I would say that my one last piece of advice, this 8th tip here. Now, as humans, we're hardwired for creativity. And when we quit trying to think outside the box, we're dulling down that power that we have. So my last piece of advice is to go for it. Just go for it. Throw yourself into it completely or partially or whatever you're capable of. You're going to be surprised at the success that you and your child can have when you curate or design an educational experience that is specifically for them. For those of you listeners who may not already know, Star Students does specialize in homeschooling programs and curriculum development. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you need help. We are here for support. If you have any comments or questions, either about this issue or others that have come up for you, you can always find me on social media. It's Star Students on Facebook and LinkedIn, or starstudents.learning on Instagram. You can also reach out through email, which is, of course, all over social media channels. Thank you, as always, so much for listening, and please don't forget to tune in next week for a very special guest. I'm speaking with a parent next week. You won't want to miss this episode.